Behavioral Therapy, B.F. Skinner. Meet Julie Santiago, 28, married with 2 children. Julie has been experiencing issues at home with her husband and children. She has been arguing more than often with her husband lately, and her children has been really getting under her skin. Julie doesn't like the arguing and wants to know what's going on. She has been overwhelmed and stressed. This is her 3rd session with Dr. Williams.
Hi Julie, how are you?
I'm doing good.
How's everything?
A little bit better.
How was your week?
That's alright.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So last time you was here, we talked about the issues you were having and you being anxious and overwhelmed and, your behavior with your husband and your children. I did give you homework last time. I wanted you to jot down, when this behavior occurred. Were you able to do that?
Yep, I got a full list.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
It's a rough week.
All right. Is there anything in particular you want to talk about here on this list?
I don't know. Last Wednesday, I flipped out on my husband. I had a hard day at work. I got in early. I came home late. My day was just miserable. I was starving. I told my husband the type of day I had, and I got home, and he's just sitting on the couch watching sports, and there's no dinner on the table. So now I come home and I have to cook too.
Okay. So, does your husband normally cook dinner, or?
No, but that's not the point. He should have, because he knew the type of day I was having. Like, he gets home earlier than me. I have a busier work schedule, and I just feel that sometimes he should step up to the plate and be able to cook dinner for me.
Okay. So what was your behavior like that day when, you came home and he didn't cook?
Basically, I tried to make his night just as miserable as my day, and I succeeded.
Okay.
So that ended up with me and him fighting and just not talking for the rest of the night.
Okay. Is there anything else that happened that week, or, that's on here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I feel horrible. I flipped out on my son, too. I got home from work one day, and the garbage wasn't taken out, which is pretty much his only chore, but I really didn't need to react the way I did with him. So he wasn't talking to me for like 2 days.
Okay, interesting. Can you tell me a little bit about your work day? The day that your son didn't take out the chores or didn't take out the trash?
Yeah, I mean, work has just been so rough lately. Like I said, I work really long hours. I get up super early. I get home super late. I barely have a second to breathe from the time I get there to the time I leave. I barely have time to eat breakfast or lunch. So, it's just taking a toll on me. When I get home, I'm just in a bad mood always. Like something always bothers me at work.
Okay. So it seems to me that when you have a bad day at work, you tend to have a bad day after work at home.
Yeah, actually, I never thought about it that way, but now that you say it, yeah, I do.
Yeah, so now we kind of define the problem. The problem lays at work. You're having these bad days at work, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed. Is there anything you can do or talk to your boss about the workload that you have, or?
I've tried. She doesn't feel bad for me. She's just as busy as I am. So is everyone. So they don't want to hear how tired I am or how busy I am.
Okay, interesting. So if we can't change the workload that you have at work, maybe we can change some techniques or skills that you do while you're at work so you won't be so overwhelmed and stressed. Because we don't want that behavior at work, and then we don't want it to trickle down at home, because I'm sure you don't like what you're doing, at home with your husband and your children.
Yeah, I feel terrible now that you say it. I mean, I should be going home and leaning on my husband and my children and having them bring me up from my mood, and instead I'm just dragging them down with me and arguing with them and making myself feel worse and making them feel worse, and neither one of them deserve it. So I really never looked at it that way.
Yeah. Okay. this is what we're going to do. Since we can't change the workload that you have, and it's important that we, work out this issue. We're going to try a breathing technique because I do know that you get anxious and you do get overwhelmed. I want you to take 3 deep breaths when you're feeling overwhelmed and when you're feeling stressful. This way that we can hopefully put you in a more calm and relaxed place. So you can probably do it at work when you're overwhelmed or just before you get home so you don't take out, the negative energy that you have at work with your children and the husband at home. Yeah, so we want you to do this breathing technique. Okay. It's just 3 deep breaths. And after that, hopefully, you'll feel more relieved. So when you're feeling anxious and when you're feeling overwhelmed and excited, you'll take these 3 deep breaths, and hopefully feel release after that.
Okay.
Let's try it now. I want you to think about the day you had before you came home and your son didn't take out the trash. Think about that day. Think about how stressful it was and how overwhelmed you was. Mm-hmm. Think about that day and act as if you're just about to come into your house. You had a stressful day, but you don't want to take it out with your children and your husband. So take those 3 deep breaths right here.
Okay. I could see how that may work or start to release some tension in my body. Maybe not all the time and if I'm in a really bad mood, but it's definitely a start.
Okay. So that's your homework for the next week. I want you to practice that skill at work, and before you get into the house of your home, you just take those 3 deep breaths, and I want you to see how that works after that, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. I'm willing to try anything, so.
Okay, so I'll see you next week.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Personal Center Therapy, Carl Rogers. Meet Vanessa Skills. She's experiencing similar issues to Julie Santiago. She's having issues with her relationship at home with her husband and children. She notices her behavior and wants to change it. Vanessa has a hard time talking to people about her problem, afraid of being judged, but she has finally gotten the strength to seek advice from a counselor. This is Vanessa's first session with Dr. Trina.
Hi, Vanessa.
Yes.
Dr. Trina. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
You can have a seat right here. How are you today?
I'm okay.
Yeah. I understand you have some things you want to discuss with me.
Yes. I've been having some issues at home.
Okay.
With my relationship with my husband and my children. They have really been getting on my nerves and getting under my skin with things that they do. And it's bothering me. You have to excuse me. I'm a little bit nervous.
It's okay. Take your time.
I don't even know why I'm here today talking to you. I don't usually talk to people about my issues. I'm usually the problem solver. Okay. So talking to you or just even coming to you is a little bit uncomfortable for me. I'm just in a frenzy right now. So.
Okay, well, it's absolutely normal for you to feel uncomfortable. I've had many clients who started off just like you, where they're a little bit nervous and don't feel they need to be here. And as therapy goes on, they start to relax more and open up and eventually feel some type of relief. So I'm hoping that maybe you can have a similar experience to them.
I hope so too. I've been really battling this with my family. My husband, he does things and I act out when he does them, and my children do things and when they do things I act out, I yell and I scream. So the behavior that I'm displaying in front of my children to my husband, it's really harsh, and I'm worried and I'm concerned that, my children would pick up that behavior, and I don't want that.
Okay, So just to clarify, you're a little bit nervous that your children might find your behavior acceptable and after watching it for so long tend to carry out the same behavior as you?
Yes.
Okay. Have you started to notice them doing that yet or no?
Yes, my daughter, my oldest, I've overheard her in the room yelling at, her little brother as if she was the mom. And it bothered me because it's like when I heard her doing that, I just was like, oh my God,
It reminded you of yourself.
Yes.
And this is new behavior?
Yes. I want to say maybe for the past 5 or 6 months, this has been going on.
Okay. And you mentioned that your husband and your children are doing things that are really bothering you. So why don't we get into what type of things they're doing that's getting you into these moods?
My husband, I guess him just being like lazy, he's not taking the initiative to do things like cook or clean. And then with my children, like when I tell them to clean their room or do something, a chore, they don't do it. So when they don't do it, I get mad, I scream, I yell, and sometimes I even cuss, which is not good. So
now, has your husband always acted this way and it's just starting to bother you now, or is he changing as well?
I don't think he's always acted this way. He doesn't like my behavior either. He told me that I've changed, so I'm not sure.
And how is your relationship between your husband and your children?
It's great, they love their dad, he loves his children, everything is good.
Are you in a way envious of the way your children talk to your husband? Like, do you feel that maybe they are now getting closer to your husband than they are with you just because you're always so negative when you're home?
Possibly, yeah, I see the difference. Like, I just want to be able to change my behavior. It really affects me, and I don't want it to like trickle down to the children, so I want to, be able to change my behavior. So if you can help me, that would be awesome.
And these moods you get in, have you always gotten angry and frustrated and you're just now starting to see it as a problem, or do you feel that this just kind of surfaced out of nowhere?
It didn't just surface out of nowhere.
Starting to get worse?
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm impressed that you're able to acknowledge the fact that you have a problem and that you took the initiative to come see me even though that you feel you normally solve these problems yourself. I could tell that your family and your husband mean a lot to you and that you're going to do whatever you can to make it work, and I look forward to meeting with you and being able to help you get through that.
Okay.
Alright, unfortunately our time is up right now, but I look forward to meeting with you next week and discussing this further.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hope you feel better.
Thank you.